Hello there, welcome to my massive art studio tour. Here is one side of it, here is the other, but that's the point of this place. Every nook and cranny has a bigger story to explore. So when we dive deep, you realize that there's infinite things to talk about and look at, including all of this manga, including all of these toys, and then just including things in little holes that you can't see unless you dig in deep. Why did that sound weird? Okay, let's begin. So let's get what I think is the most boring part out of the way, which is just the computer setup. Right here, we have a fully desk, and when you press the buttons, it goes up and down so I can stand. And right here, this computer is a MacBook Pro 20, I have no idea. Sarah Dici gave this to me. She's a tech guru and she had an extra computer laying around, and now I have it. Here is my iPad Pro that I do pretty much all of my digital illustration on. Here is a microphone that I forgot to put away because now I have this microphone and it might be a little too loud. The worst part of this whole situation is definitely back here behind the computer. I don't know how to prettily hide my SD drives, but I have a lot of storage. Obviously I film in 4K now, so I'm basically running through those and they're expensive. So it's like costing me a decent amount of money to make videos now, which is pretty strange. Over here, we have this plant hiding up here. All the plants that you're gonna see are obviously fake because there is no sunlight back here, which makes me very sad. And I'm so dumb because I initially, buying plants for this space was like, yeah, I'll take some real ones. Are there ones that can just kind of like not need the sun? Maybe not need watering because I'm lazy, and they were like, no. So that's pretty much what's going on over here in the desk setup world, and that's it. It's actually a really nice desk. I'm undermining it, but it's actually a very nice setup, and this is where I do all of my editing. Over here on the wall are a lot of pictures that I did. I wanted to have a frame set up like this, so I initially was just like, I don't really care what's in the frames as long as it looks cool, because I saw a collage online that I just thought looked cool. And then I ended up going with some of my favorite art pieces that I've done, digital artworks, and obviously incorporating my characters into real life. These characters I call the Kaibots, and I've actually been drawing a lot more of them. I've drawn like 60 more characters and I'm rolling them out slowly. But I'm having a lot of fun right now doing character designs and making, you know, new cute little robots. It's like my favorite thing to do, to make little creatures, probably because I grew up on Pokemon and I'm obsessed with things like that. Speaking of which, here is one of my favorite pro skateboards. This was designed by JP Couvert, and if you look, it's me battling against time, and I'm totally outmatched, obviously, because he's level 50, I'm level 10. There's a plant coming out of it, which I think is a pretty nice aesthetic, but I've been pro for Revive skateboards for a while now, and I loved all the designs that JP Couvert has done, but this one obviously has a lot of nostalgia to it, and it just has a pretty deep meaning if you really get into it. As for these pictures, there's not really much romance to them. They were just kind of designs based off like other designs that I found inspirational online. I sort of mirrored the style. Right here, I will say that this Ethiopian proverb hit me like an actual bag of bricks when I first heard it. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. I don't know why, that's just like that's like such a deep quote. And I hate to say that I kind of relate to it. A lot of people were like, oh, that's Naruto. No, I don't think it is. I've never watched Naruto. It's hard to get through. There's so much filler. This plant right here is like the staple plant in the room. It's like 6 feet long, and actually hidden behind it is a green screen and a yoga mat. So back there, it's kind of tucked away. But you know, those are very useful things that I can use in my life. Right here is a really cool pen holder. I have toilet paper there because things get wet when you paint. Just saying, things get wet. And amongst all these drawers, it's basically just extra things I have. It's where I put like my wallet and keys and stuff. There's a couple extra like tech gear, like microphones, etc. There's some art stuff, but really I need to clear these out, and I'm pretty disorganized when it comes to like the depths of the drawers. And that is the gist of that side. And since this area is my favorite, let's start on this wall over here. What do we have on the bookshelves? So over here on the wall, we have the Nancy comic. If you haven't checked out this comic series, it's like extremely witty, and it's definitely older, and I feel like it genuinely has inspired a lot of the artwork you see today. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like Family Guy is kind of based off of this, and I got pretty insecure because I actually drew some characters based off of it, and people immediately were like, that's just Nancy art, you're stealing, and I was like, Okay, so I altered it, so actually thank you for convincing me to alter that. And then in the basket here we have Tata from BT21. One of my first like inspirational things I saw before creating my original 4 characters is obviously I looked at BT21 and I pretty much mirrored like the body proportions and so on and so forth. With my new characters, I'm not doing that near as much. And then here is Squirtle. Need I explain? Squirtle's he's a cute thing. On the second row of the bookshelves, we have a lot of my favorite things I've read. Pokemon Adventures manga is incredible. I feel like it is, well, I'm gonna sound like such a manga reader saying this, but it definitely feels like the most fun way to read Pokemon. It's actually very well told. Ash and Gary are cooler than they've ever been in the show. It's a little darker themed, but it is gold content, so I would definitely check out the Pokemon. Right under it is Mob Psycho. It's kind of sad because the Mob Psycho manga isn't even as caught up as the actual anime, and the season 2 is about to start, and they're still releasing like the manga very slowly. Kind of sad. One Punch Man, it's made by the same creator as Mob Psycho, but One Punch Man manga literally has like destroyed every preconceived notion I've had about art before. So much art in that, I literally can never be impressed by anyone else's artwork ever again because they have so many volumes and every panel is like technically more skilled than most of the things I've seen in museums. Speaking of which, Eyeshield 21 is by the same illustrator, and both of these comics, I'm like, how does this dude have enough time in his lifetime to get this done? Vinland Saga as well is extremely good, and I'm making my way through it way too slowly, which is kind of sad. That's why there's only 3 here, and I'm on the 4th one right now. This Harry Potter book, okay, this is gonna blow your mind. Harry Potter came out with the Sorcerer's Stone that pretty much has like a completely integrated book. It has a ton of things that you can like, it basically has like pictures and like things you can play with while cycling through this. It's like the coolest Harry Potter book in existence, and I haven't even read through this one completely because it's gonna take some time because it's like every page times 4 because you're exploring everything. And then Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. Is it Johnny? I don't know what his name actually is, but yeah, this book's really good. It's like the most childish way to tell, in my opinion, the most like big brain story ever. It's all about like empathy for others and stuff, and it is just like so beautifully done. Just realizing now I should probably like not go through every single thing, so I'll make everything else a little speedier. Right here on top of the shelf are things that I'm trying to force myself to get into quicker. So we have this fantasy sports book that JP Kubrick recommended me. We have Your Special by Cool Man Coffee Dan, a good friend of mine. We have The Art of Miyazaki Spirited Away, which I can't wait to dive into, and then we have the Animator Survival Kit, which apparently is like the thing animators need to read. And then I have the Nintendo Switch here because I really need to play Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I've just been slacking. It's hard for me to get into games, I hate to say it. And then pretty much all the drawers under it are just filled with my paint. There's this plant on the left, it's pretty cute and stuff. And then I have some skateboard gear as well. I have a ton of wheels. I should probably start doing giveaways, but giveaways cost money to do because you have to ship it out. But I do have extra gear, so I definitely should start like trying to do more giveaway type things. These are kind of like styrofoam pieces back here, and this is where I can kind of draw characters on and cut them out easily with scissors. So I'm gonna try to do more of that like realistic stuff so that I can just like put out in public. You know, for me, the art at the end of the day, the thing that I wanna do the most is to like make things in the real world that people can kind of enjoy. And that's why I like the characters, because, you know, I like that dichotomy of characters out in the real world, out in the wild. Right here are all the extra manga that I have. It's kind of embarrassing. There's so many that I really need to get into, and I'm just slacking in reading, but dude, I'm so excited about like diving into this. And every day I look over, I'm like, oh, there's so much manga for me to read, and I can't wait to get into it. And then I usually tuck that away with my 2 bags. One is like my art bag where I carry my iPad and stuff, and the other one, of course, is my camera bag. And then right behind that are a couple of canvases. There's the artworks that I've done recently in my vlogs. If you haven't seen those, I will link them down below. And then here's this easel. Don't really know how to explain anything about the easel. I'll just say that if you are someone who wants to buy anything in this room, I'll try to link whatever I can down below. If I forget, I am so sorry, but I will try my best. And then, yeah, these are, the easel has been great for me so far. Yeah. Right behind that actually is the X Pen. I bought this a while ago to start doing animations, but I haven't really, I still want to have a little more skill before I get straight into animations. I want it to be a much more natural process, but I have this X Pen for when I start to do animations, and I am really pumped to get into that. But for now, like, the technology just sits there in front of me and is like, I'm ready whenever you are, and I'm like, It's coming soon, soon. So last but not least, I say that we dive into this whole back area here. There is so much to unravel, and realistically, it's just, this is where like, this whole room, everything here is built to inspire me everywhere I look. Here, you know, I get inspired because I think I've made things before, so keep making things. Oh, I'm a pro skater. There's this artwork that is out of my league. There are all these things that I look at, and I'm like, look at all these books that were made, and I get to see around me things that I want to do, things that I want to explore, things that make me get up and work, like this canvas, seeing my bags here, seeing the manga I need to read, like all these things around me constantly inspire me. It can be overwhelming because I'm like, whoa, there's so much to create. But you know, mostly it just inspires the hell out of me. And let's just like dive into this back area. Let's start from this side and move on to this side. On the top left here, I bet a lot of you are excited because yes, this is the Hey Arnold cast, all chillin' playing a baseball game. This to me, like, Hey Arnold was definitely like the American cartoon that just like super resonated with me. Craig Bartlett to me is a genius, and I love just like, I mean, Hey Arnold, it's amazing. Obviously the Korean flag behind it, because when we were kids, we actually had like one of these fans as well. And now that I have like the Korean flag on the fan, you know, I'm slightly patriotic towards, no, I wouldn't say patriotic. I just have an appreciation for Korean culture. I think it's fun to explore. This is a row of some manga that I've been reading. Honestly, the Naruto manga I've been enjoying. The anime I could not stand. Beastar's manga is so good. It's like, it's good. My Hero Academia as well, obviously, has just become a staple in anime in general. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I've read the first 3 volumes. It's definitely good. I'm gonna keep exploring it. I mean, JoJo, I'm like the last one to get onto JoJo, so that's what that is. In this little hole, you have Kiki's cat, you have Mob, and honestly, I don't know if you guys played Monster Rancher, but Monster Rancher was a pretty defining game for me as a kid. Felt kind of like a ripoff of like the Pokemon Digimon era, but it was like, I loved the game of Monster Rancher, and I can't remember this guy's, Mochi? I think his name's Mochi, the character, and he's so cute, but they're just tucked away back here. So like, to me, it's like obviously a lot of nostalgia. Mob is like one of my favorite anime of today. Kiki's Delivery Service was monumental as an inspiration as a kid. Discovering Hayao Miyazaki at a young age is like, I think pretty staple for a lot of Americans. And it was great. Right under that is the Calvin and Hobbes issues, like all of them. I mean, if you can write a story like Calvin and Hobbes, you're set. It's beautiful. Now, one of my goals with like practicing Korean is to eventually be able to read these books, but I bought a couple children's Korean books based off the show It's Okay to Not Be Okay. It's literally about someone who writes children's books, and then I bought the children's books that were made in this fictional world. But it's just so cool that they exist. They're like little horror stories, but they're like actually really good messages. They're just told in a very creepy way that's very un-kid-like. And then in the drawers, it's actually just dirty, but there's just like some extra manga that I basically like didn't like, or that I just like was done reading. In this middle section, you have this just a random little farmhouse that I thought looked really cool. You have 2 Pikachus chilling. I got these from those little like gotcha games that you can buy at conventions. And then there's Hisoka, and then there's like a Sailor Moon cat just chilling in the club. Right next to that is the Moomin. Moomin has been very inspirational to me, but I've never even read the comic. So it's like just based on the design aspect alone, and like the music and what I've seen online, and just literally just the design element of it has been monumental for me in terms of my own art. Obviously, there's Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho. He's just a badass, and that was a show I watched when I was a kid, and I couldn't really get into it as an adult. I watched all of Hunter x Hunter, and it was incredible, and then after that, I just tried to watch Yu Yu Hakusho again, and I was like, I'm having trouble with this. Right here is like a little human anatomy type creature. So if I'm ever trying to create like a type of pose, you can just move this character to do kind of whatever. Next to that, you have a lot of the slam dunk issues that I need to make it through. You have Doraemon. I just love Doraemon's like design and then everything about the show. You have this random sword that I just bought. I just thought it looked cool. You have Tenya Ida from My Hero Academia. Weirdly enough, like one of my favorite characters in the show, and one that I wish became like one of the top staples, but he kind of is just like a B-side character, and that makes me sad because I felt like he had one of the most interesting story progressions early on. Right under that, all the Demon Slayer manga, incredible. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, like it's like $1 billion IP at this point. You know, their movie was one of the biggest movies ever, and still a lot of like friends of mine don't even know what Demon Slayer is. And I'm like, it's literally like next in line to Marvel at this point. So it's pretty wild. And then right next to that is, you know, Totoro. I just thought it was cute. And it's holding all the books up. Right under that is a gift that Sarah Dici got me. It's me as Goku, I assume, and her as Bulma. I guess I should be Vegeta in that, since Goku and Bulma never had a thing, but it's adorable and it looks just like me and Sarah, and that makes me really happy. And yeah, she knows me well. She knows that I'm like, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, so that's like very nostalgic for me. And then right next to that is something else that's very nostalgic to me. If you've heard of Monkey Island, this is like one of the epic scenes of the first game, and Monkey Island has genuinely lent to like my life. Like it's a big part of who I am. And why I am who I am, which I think is very funny. These little things right here, I think, are one of the coolest pieces of merchandise I've ever seen. It's pins designed by Jed Henry. Jed Henry is the one who did all the pictures above the shelving. Obviously, like the One Piece one, the Mario one. He just has a very creative eye for like redesigning old things, and like the Pokemon one is just so nostalgic and amazing. And he designed these pins as well, and they just feel so cool. It's like little real world gym things you can just like unlock. I don't know, it just feels very cool. And then right under that is a wooden inscription of Progress Daily. Someone made this for me. And honestly, I couldn't like figure out who made it for me after they sent it. I was like looking up the email. I just like couldn't find them again. But someone made that for me, so if you're out there, thank you so much. On the actual desk is this little night lamp that you can turn on. I don't usually sit here, but when I do, it is very, very, very nice. The Illusions of Life Disney animation. I am a big fan of Disney. I think a lot of people, I mean, Disney themselves have a pretty controversial past in some ways. Right here is a 1,000-piece Zelda puzzle. Probably nothing cooler than the idea of solving a puzzle only to find a map. If it was like based on something real that I could go out and search for, I would literally just give up my life and go treasure hunting. That sounds great, dude. I wanna be a pirate. And then there's nothing really within the drawers. I have some spray paint cans, and then I have some manga kind of hidden throughout, but there's nothing really significant about the inside of the drawers. Underneath this little area is just like my paint setup ready to go. So if I pull this out, it's all just like got all the things I need, and that is, yeah, that's great. Oh, and then of course in here is just a ton of extra manga that I need to get read. That I've either read or I need to read. So maybe I'll spend the rest of the day reading manga, because I've actually been pretty ahead of work today. I've like, you know, I've done all my work. So maybe I'll read manga for the next couple of hours. And on that note, so for some context, I think this room is about 8 feet by 8 feet. So it is like it's a pretty small room. I think for a bedroom in a house, this would be, you know, not almost impossible, but you couldn't fit like a queen size bed. It's a small space, and I'm saying this because of how much fun I've had not only building out this space, but how much I love being in this space. When I'm editing, which is what I usually do in here, it feels good. I like walking around here, I like looking around, so it's like, it's cool to think that, you know, you can have the smallest space ever. Even a closet, you can turn into like a mystical fun land, and that's what this area has been for me, and that was the whole idea. And I built this out in like, you know, a day or two. It didn't take long at all. I basically just bought this back shelving, which was expensive, but then after that, everything else was just like, you know, extra stuff that Sarah had lying around, extra like, I mean, it was kind of expensive. I had to buy all these manga too. So like, obviously, you know, this isn't like, hey, go out there and buy all this stuff, but you can definitely make your space, no matter how small, feel very homey, cool, adventurous. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little tour. Besides that, I mean, that's it. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. This wasn't an art vlog. We will do an art vlog next time. So if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, be sure to do so. And yeah, we'll get cracking every Monday and Wednesday for a new video, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's a new video on this channel, so thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, Progress Daily has just launched new merchandise. If you're interested in actually buying my artwork for your clothing, it's out there. So yeah, thank you so much. Take care, Progress Daily, and keep killing it.